Good morning, hello, welcome. It's a lovely day today, sitting out in the back garden before everybody wakes up. Can you hear the birds? Well, it's a lovely start to the day and we need it because it's not been a good week. Well, it's not been a bad week. I mean, there's so many things that could have been wrong with the week, but it weren't. It just is a frustrating, sometimes heartbreaking and downright annoying week. But we did get some work done. I also have been thinking a lot about what's been going on nationally, as well as what's been going on in our own home, in our family, and thinking about self-reliance. Now, this isn't the week that I normally speak about self, or is it? It was, wasn't it? It is a week I normally talk about self-reliance. No, that was last week. This week was the 5th Monday, so it's not part of the 4-week plan, but I'll carry on with the self-reliance theme anyway, because as of course you realise that last week or the week before we got a new Prime Minister, but that made no difference to the situation we're still in with Brexit. The only difference is the only certainty we have now is that we're leaving, definitely, at the end of October. So that's the only definite, but it is a definite. There's a date on it. So that's a good thing. We have some certainty. But the rest of the situation is still full of uncertainty. We've already, because of that uncertainty, seen a drop in the value of the pound. Now, to me, that's just because of the Bank of England, with not knowing how it's going to happen. It could go one way, it could go the other way. But either way, it's still uncertain. And we're already feeling the effects of that. The things that I have noticed personally and the immediate effect is the price of food goes up. But there's two sides to that story. The side of the story is the foods that will go up in price are the ones that are imported. And of course the things that are refined, because they use a lot of imported goods to refine those products. So your best bet, if your pennies are pinched in that situation, is buy British if you're in the UK, or wherever you are, buy locally, nationally shall I say, where it's grown, homegrown, as far as your local market is concerned. So buy British if you live in the UK, and buy whole foods. That is a trick, because those are the things that won't go up or should not go up, because they don't have an excuse. They don't have to import a lot of stuff. But if things are imported and refined, those prices are already, and have been over the last 3 years, just because people are using the Brexit uncertainty as an excuse for putting up prices when it really didn't need to. So we've already seen price hikes. And as I mentioned earlier, was it this year or the year last year? I think it was earlier this year I mentioned how retailers have cottoned on to, it was last year we started noticing it, but it was earlier this year it just became broadcast in absolutely every aspect of retail, that if the companies didn't want to look like they're putting up their prices, so they'll put less product in the packaging, so you look like you're still paying the same price but you're getting less for your money. And I mentioned that earlier in the year, so that's been going on for a long time, but there is now just a sudden hike now this week in a lot of other food prices. And if you've been to the shops, you might have noticed your grocery bills have suddenly shot up, but that's because we need to double check, we need to read labels, we need to see where our food has come from, and if the ingredients thereof are imported. Anything imported at the moment, because of uncertainty, is going to be more expensive, and might be for some time to come yet. Holidays. If you're the kind of person who does holidays, especially abroad, that is going to skyrocket, and already has been. For our family, for me, we never go on holiday. We've never ever been on holiday. In the 30 years that we've been married, we've never been on holiday. We've had a couple of day trips, but we've never been on holiday, so it doesn't affect us. That's fine. So another thing to help is to holiday here at home, and especially if you're doing self-catering, because apparently a lot of people do self-catering because that's far cheaper than going out to eat at restaurants. So there you go. There's quite a few things going on, and there are other things also. Anything that's imported or anything that uses imported goods will go up. So there are things you can still do to counteract those effects, and it just means changing your lifestyle a bit. And that's what I've been talking about for all these months, is changing the way that we live in order to save pennies. And that's just the Brexit thing. If you've been watching the news, you've also read or heard on the radio or watched on the telly the incident at, was it Whaley Bridge, the dam that looks like it's about to burst, and it's damaged. The wall of it is damaged. The dam itself, the facts that they put out on the telly yesterday that I heard from them, where was it? BBC News, I think it was. I'm not so keen on the BBC at the moment, but they did say that dam could hold 1 million cubic meters of water, and it has the spillage slip where water overflows and can go over the side. But that wall is actually got some damage on it, and it's quite bad damage. And with all the rain that fell, more than a month's worth of rain in just a couple of days, it's now dangerously looking like it wants to burst. And more than 6,000 people were evacuated out of the area that's in danger of being flooded. Could you imagine what those people are going through? We're in the UK. We don't see huge, big disasters as a regular occurrence here. Not natural disasters, and the dam is a man-made dam. We don't have very many of those in the UK, but there are things that people still can go through. And how many of those people have got 72-hour emergency packs that they could just pick up with all their vital information, medication, and insurance documents ready to go, grab and leave? Have they even thought about leaving in an emergency like that? I don't think many people have. How many of those 6,000 people actually have 72-hour emergency packs relevant to where they live and the situations that we have here? And in those situations, it would literally be vital records, insurance, identity, cash, and enough clothes, and entertainment for the children, clothes, something like that, because obviously you might relocate to extended family who live elsewhere, so it might not be so bad, but you still need all your vital records and your insurances and documents and bills and things like that, not just for proof of ID, but also so that you've got information to contact if things did go badly wrong, and if that dam bursting couldn't be averted, then you'd need those certain things. And yet here we are. That's just one of hundreds of different scenarios that could happen, and it proves the importance of what we've been saying about preparedness. And now remember, as I've said on this channel, I don't do doomsday prepping. That is not us. That's not what we're about. We're more realistic and careful. I just want you to think about your own situation, whether it be Brexit, whether it be a local disaster, a local incident, whether it be accidents, whether it be job losses, whether it be, a sudden severe illness that just changes your whole life. Think about how you would be able to survive in those situations, and not just financially, not just in the immediate circumstances, but mental health as well, and your spiritual well-being, and think about things like that. So, and I did actually email the BBC, and I complained to them about all the negative and confusing reports of things that are just so deflating. And I said to them about giving us some real positive and, what can I say? How can I say? Positive, realistic, and achievable solutions to what's going on. Because they were talking yesterday about the food, our food self-sufficiency in the UK, and that the majority of all our food is imported, and that is going to be affected. And of course, because of our climate, we can't grow some of the vegetables and things that we use all year round. They are seasonal things. Hello? Didn't we always used to eat and live seasonally according to the cycles of nature? That we never went without, but because, as I've said again a number of times, because we have become so internationally connected, which is not a bad thing, it's a good thing, but we've become reliant on imports, and the majority of food that we produce in this country gets exported and then we import. That just doesn't make sense, does it? I don't know. And another claim was made yesterday that in Wales, humongous amount, more than a third of our agriculture, more than a third of our farming in Wales is to do with animals instead of plants, vegetables, edibles. Well, of course we, in the grand scheme of things, people eat animals, but that's not the majority of our diet. Our diet should include more than 2/3 of our plate should be plant-based. Yet only less than a third of our agriculture is plant-based. It doesn't make sense. Our farming should reflect what should be on our plates. That more than 2/3, 2/3 of our plate should be plant-based. And there's a lot of people say, well, our terrain is not the type of terrain we could use. Our land is not for growing plants. It's for animal only suitable. No, it's been proven by very many small farmers that are now diversifying. Thankfully, yesterday later in the day, they were showing us some reports of farmers that have been diversifying and going from animal farming to a diverse amount of different type of plant-based farming as well, vegetables and fruits. So there is hope. Can we have some more of those positive reports, please? And can we have some more positive and realistic solutions? Oh dear, what have we done in this last 3 years? But that's not all. It's general life, not just Brexit. Every single day of our lives can be affected by anything. And if we are prepared, we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to stress. Of course, we can never, ever, ever be 100% prepared for everything. It's not possible. But we can be prepared for some things. So let's do that. So on that note, let's just do a little bit every day that will buy us peace of mind and help us to get on with it, while the rest of them, be it media or local leaders or national leaders, fret and stress and run around totally crazy, wondering what on earth is going on. Because communities and individuals have far more power on the ground. I did ask in that email to the BBC that if anybody actually wanted some positive solutions, that they contact me and I can point them in the direction of so many other YouTubers and channels and Facebook stories of people doing something on the ground as individuals, already doing these things that can help other people. So if they want to start giving more positive feedback to people, they could focus more on these things. So on that note, as I said a moment ago, Do like, subscribe and share if you feel you can or want to do that. And let's get positive. Let's get doing and proactive. Have a lovely day.